From K2 News, this is breaking news.
We do begin with that breaking news tonight. A federal judge has permanently blocked the Trump administration from deploying troops to Portland. Good evening. Thank you for joining us, everybody. I'm Steve Dunn.
And I'm Deborah Knapp. We want to get straight to K2's Jennifer Singh, who's live from Lewis and Clark College this evening with more on what this ruling means. Jen?
We were expecting to hear that ruling from the judge by 5 o'clock tonight, and it came in right on time. Now, federal judge Karin Immergut had issued a permanent injunction, like you said, saying that Oregon and the city of Portland, the judge has sided with them, and the Trump administration cannot deploy federal troops to Portland. Now, in the 106-page document, Judge Immergut disagreed with the Trump administration's claims that the protests outside of the city's ICE facility constitute a rebellion, and said the president's efforts to deploy federal troops were unlawful. Now, in the ruling, the judge clarified the Trump administration is still allowed to federalize the National Guard, saying the partial administrative stay preserves the status quo in which National Guard members have been federalized but not deployed. Now, this afternoon, I asked an expert how this ruling may impact an appeal by the Trump administration.
For the judge to make these findings is what will make it harder for the Trump administration to win an appeal. It's not that they can't win an appeal, but they would have to get a legal rule that essentially says the president's determination is conclusive when the president says, my people can't enforce federal law.
Now, you may remember we were anticipating that final ruling from federal judge Karin Immergut on Sunday, but that's when she issued a preliminary injunction instead, saying she needed more time to look at the evidence presented during last week's 3-day trial. She did, however, at that time already appeared to be siding with Oregon. In that ruling, she said President Trump's lawyers failed to support his claim that deployment is necessary to protect federal agents from violent protests. That comes after Oregon's Justice Department presented evidence they say proves federal agents are the ones provoking protesters. Now, Lewis and Clark law professor Tung Yin that I spoke with this evening told me more that an appeal from the Trump administration is highly likely, and I'll have what this means going forward and the impacts of that tonight on ArcPDX at 10 on KUNP. For now, live from Lewis and Clark College, Jennifer Singh, K2 News.
All right, Jennifer, thank you for that. And DHS just released a statement tonight saying President Trump is using his lawful authority to direct the National Guard to protect federal assets and personnel in Portland following months of violent riots where officers have been assaulted and doxxed by left-wing rioters. They went on to say the president's actions will make Portland safer. And Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield just said today's ruling is a huge victory for Oregon. The courts are holding this administration accountable to the truth and the rule of law. He said this case was about making sure that facts, not political whims, guide how the law is applied.
Oregon Senator Ron Wyden also calling the judge's ruling a victory for Oregonians for reality and the law. He said, in part, today's ruling by a Trump-appointed judge reflects the clear fact that protests in Portland against the administration's sadistic immigration abuses were overwhelmingly peaceful. Senator Wyden added administration should now respect Oregonians' views that troops are neither needed nor wanted. Portland Mayor Keith Wilson also just said the ruling vindicates Portland's position. He also said the city would continue to stand up for the immigrant community.
This is a breaking news story, of course, and Judge Immergut's ruling is more than 100 pages long. Our team is continuing to dig through the details.